Okay, so Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray have a night, why don't you? They both score combined over 60 points. They both shoot over 50% from the field. I mean, what is it? First 30, 20, and 10 game in finals history from Jokic. First set of teammates to have 30-point triple doubles or whatever. Shot making and decision making versus a bunch of different things Miami tried defensively, and also want to give some credit to the Nuggets defense, Christian Brown. We'll dive into that. But you do have to start with Jokic and Murray. And like I said, it seemed like no matter what the Heat tried to do defensively in this one, there was just going to be a counter from one of those two. I mean, one of Jokic's first buckets of the game, maybe the first one, it was Jimmy guarding him in the post. I can't remember if it was a switch or whatever, but just back him down, bust out a Tim Duncan-esque sort of like fake, and then right into a hook shot. Simple stuff. The beauty of Jokic, he makes the game simple. He had a few jump shots where Bam was in a drop guarding the Jokic-Murray action, whether that be a higher drop or a, one step behind, whatever. Sometimes that pocket pass is going to be there. Jokic is making that. He had another pick and pop three where both guys went to Jamal Murray. Let's see, another one. It did feel like there was a lot of Jokic-Murray two-man game. I mean, there's always a good amount. It felt like there was more in this one. For all I know, the numbers will say, no, it was a normal amount, but it felt like more to me. Anyway, I think it was just Jokic screening for Jamal Murray. Two guys on the Heat went to him. One of them was Jimmy because he was still on Murray a good chunk in this game. And then I want to say it was Bam who kind of shaded Murray and then went back to Jokic. And that could have been another pick and pop. Instead, Jokic gets the ball, pump fakes, and then drives on Bam and then gets a bucket. And it's just like, what the hell do you do here? Oh, you want to bring two? All right, there was that play in the first half where Kyle Lowry doubled Jokic pretty aggressively. I think there was one time they got a turnover out of it, so okay, he's human. And then they tried it another time, and it resulted in a Jamal Murray open three. I mean, Jimmy rotated over to Murray. That was the plan. Even so, it's like just very tough to execute against these two. I mean, hell, didn't they start the second half with like somebody setting a down screen for Jokic, and then he just flowed to the free throw line and then just shot a mid-ranger over Bam? It's just like, oh my God, he had another free throw line jumper over Kevin Love that was wild as well. It's wild stuff, man. And then, I mean, I'm just thinking about the assists, as always, right? Between handoff actions with Jamal Murray or cuts from Christian Brown. One specifically I remember from Jokic where Jokic was just on the block and then Christian Brown cut. Speaking of Christian Brown, man, I mean, the big one was the one where he stole the pass where Jimmy was throwing it to. I think it was like Duncan Robinson were just going the other way for a dunk. But the amount of cuts that he had just off of like two to Murray or whatever, where he's not even at the three-point line. He's like sort of like inching in from the three-point line, which can sometimes mess up the spacing, but with this Nuggets team, spacing is just never a problem. He also had a really nice attack versus the zone one time. Anyway, let's talk about the other side of this. So, big thing in Game 2 was the Heat's execution on off-ball sets and also the Nuggets being kind of a mess in guarding those off-ball sets, right? As well as Lowry and Bam cooking in the pick and roll late there. Well, I would like to give you just a few plays in the third quarter that I think kind of summed up how the Nuggets were better defensively, at least to me. Now, for all I know, I'll check the Heat's offensive rating, and it was like 150 because the point totals to offensive ratings in the series have been a little weird, just because the pace has not been super high. But anyway, there was one where Gabe Vincent just got a handoff action from Bam, and MPJ did a really good job getting around the screen to where he was just in Vincent's airspace without fouling him. And that was with Jokic in a drop. And, of course, the big thing with drop defense is the dude who's got to get around the screen. You got to get around the screen. One where Jimmy and Bam are running an empty corner action with Jimmy going at Jokic in a drop. And Jokic does a fine enough job on the baseline to where Jimmy's, got to at least look around a little bit. As this is happening, Jamal Murray's digging in decently aggressively. And then he's got to close out to Kevin Love because Jimmy spots him. And it was a damn good closeout. I mean, Kevin Love still could have made the shot, but I thought it was good and certainly better than what it was in Game 2, that sort of thing. Similar to the Vincent action, we had a Max Strus Bam action where Jamal Murray, he gets around the screen, and this is with Jokic in a little higher of a drop. But the thing with Murray is when he got around the screen, he didn't go from behind Bam. He actually went from in front of Bam, so it kind of slowed Bam's momentum down for a second to where he wasn't able to just roll and then get the pocket pass, because that's what Strus tried to do. He threw the pocket pass, but Bam wasn't there. And so the play had to reset. Eventually, Strus got it back. He missed a pull-up 15-footer or whatever. And the last one I remembered was that one where Jokic was in a drop on a Bam-Jimmy action. Gordon did a good job staying on Jimmy's back, and then Jokic, he blocked Bam. There might have been a foul. I don't even remember if they had a replay of it. But yeah, that was just a few plays for you. Of course, there's going to be stuff I don't remember. Oh, there was one more. They guarded a Bam and Lowry action really well, where Jokic was higher up on the screen and Bruce Brown had really early help to where Bam had no choice but to take a 15-footer, which, he has been cooking up with at times in the series, but that was a nice one. It did feel like in the first half, Jimmy was able to cook a bit with getting mismatches and all that, whether it be getting them on Jamal Murray and stuff. I think he was 6 for 16 at the half, and even so, it felt like ooh, this is something that the Heat can kind of get whenever they want the switch, right? Now, on the flip side, the Nuggets might be telling themselves, yeah, we're fine with giving the switch, and then whatever defense we want to play behind it, we're comfortable with that. But it did just seem in this one that Jimmy, specifically in the post against a smaller guy, was where a lot of good stuff happened for the Heat. In before someone on Twitter says, no, their points per possession on that was like 0. And to be clear, I'm not saying that they'd have to do that every single possession, because then you become a little too predictable. And also, I mean, Jimmy can't do everything on every single possession for you. He is human, which means you're just going to have to get cooking again like you were in game 2, whether it's the Lowry Bam pick and roll, whether it's, a Max Strus handoff action, a Duncan Robinson down screen, or, Strus slipping the screen for Jimmy. Like, that was the template in game 2, right? And within that, I mean, I've seen people bring up the idea of, like, can you get Jokic to step up on a screen multiple times in a play? Just to keep him moving, like the yo-yo thing, as some people would call it. I think like Zach Lowe has kind of coined that term. And the obvious stuff there is, the handoff actions with Vincent or Duncan Robinson or Strus or whatever. I remember a play early, they ran like a double screen with Bam and I think Strus screening for Jimmy, and he was able to get downhill off of something. Like, Spo is always going to have something ready. So we'll see. Definitely don't count him out.